Welcome back to Cheese Code by Roman Dmitry. This is the first video of the Monorepo playlist, and I'm super excited to kick it off.
It's a celebration dance.
Celebrate. Guys, it took us a long time, but we finally did it. We finally have enough information in the basics, I know nothing playlist to actually start talking about the real complicated stuff. It's time to stop talking and start Christopher walking. The goal of today's video is to introduce you to how I organize my monorepos, but I do encourage you to download the code and look at it on your own. And this is the first video of the Monorepo playlist where I want to talk about building the perfect monorepo, which is easy to use, easy to boot, and easy to version control. This approach is how I start every project that I work on. It's really easy to pick and choose which services I want involved and delete the others. There's a lot of parts to cover in this video, so I'll try to be as efficient as possible. If you're curious, this is my microphone. So yeah, let's get into talking about the monorepo, and we'll iterate video after video to make the best monorepo that we can. As part of the discussion, we'll cover why the project is named the way that it is, the folder structure, the scripts, and the Makefile that brings it all together. This project is named stubb, specifically so you can global search it and replace it with your own name if you were to fork this repo, for example. The folder structure is intentionally minimal. Basically, you have one folder for all your services, and you can keep adding services in there as you go. Then you have another folder for scripts where we have stuff like Docker Compose and the utility bash scripts that tie everything together. And another folder for releases where you can keep track of more notes for yourself for deployments or any environment variables that might have been added. It's not so much as release notes for what's actually been changed in the code. Although now that I think about it, I'll probably start adding notes in there too, just so when you open this in the future, you don't get too confused. We're working on version 0.0.0 for today's video. Now that you have your folders figured out, we have a Makefile in the root directory that brings everything together. The most important command here is make local boot. Ideally, all I need is to have Docker installed, and when I run this command, all my services boot up without worry. For today's example, we only have nginx as a proxy just to show that it works, but in future videos, we'll be adding a lot more services. There's also a make local kill script that will shut down all the running containers you have just for this project. In a future version, we'll also make a version script that will update all the version numbers in all the services. Let's quickly look at the scripts folder. The most important script here is the local boot.sh script. The script starts by preparing the variables and environment for this runtime. We then kill all the Docker containers if there are any running, and start building the relevant Docker containers that are in our Docker Compose file. It's not relevant yet, but we have a service install section that will basically download Webpack, for example, before we boot our React container for the first time. Docker Compose up does exactly what it sounds like. It spins up all the relevant containers in the Docker Compose file. Service seed function will become relevant in a future video. This is where we feed the database all of our starter content. Docker PS will just spit out the containers that are running relevant to this project. We end this script and output some tips. Specifically, this will say, go to localhost port 1200. I have a utility folder that's full of little functions that you can check out on your own. Some of these include logging and making things colorful and just printing contents of a file. The secrets folder is where your environment variables go into. Of course, don't save your secret files in here. Just load them as you need on an environment specific basis. Be sure to check out the README to get a little more insight into how it works. At the heart of the repo is just a Docker Compose file that has all your services inside of it. We're just using nginx for today's example, but I'll expand on this in future videos. Since it would take forever for me to go through everything, I encourage you to look at the utility.sh script on your own and generally try to follow how the make commands tie together. I like using make because you can tap and autocomplete and see every command that's available to you. Okay, well, let's see it in action. Make local boot. Wow, that was fast. Gee willikers, that was fast. It only took a second to start because our project's basically empty. But it did do all the commands we just talked about and has prepared us for success when we do start to add more services. For now, our local Docker Compose file is fairly simple. We have one service for nginx and it's running on port 1200. Now we can kill it with make local kill. The key note is that we're only killing the stub containers and nothing else. So if you have multiple projects side by side, don't worry about that. Guys, thank you for watching. I'm really excited to show you more as the playlist progresses. It's really dope. These videos do take a lot of work, so please leave your comments below if you want me to tweak anything or if you just generally like it. Give me some words of encouragement. Anyway, I love you all. You guys are great. Stay tuned for the next one.